The courthouse doors slammed shut behind Maya like a prison gate. Her hands trembled as she clutched the marriage certificate, the ink still wet, mocking her with its permanence. 24 hours ago, she'd been scrubbing floors at the diner, dreaming of college. Now she was Mrs. Zaire Coleman, married to a man she'd met exactly once, a man who'd shown up to their wedding in torn jeans and a faded jacket that smelled of rain and concrete. "This can't be happening," she whispered, her voice breaking. The social worker, Mrs. Cassie, placed a hand on her shoulder. "I'm sorry, Maya, but your answer was clear. Either you marry before your 23rd birthday, or the house goes to the bank. This was the only way to save your inheritance." Maya wanted to scream. The house was all she had left, the only piece of her parents' memory that hadn't been stolen by time and tragedy. When her aunt died 3 months ago, she discovered the bizarre clause, a desperate attempt to ensure Maya wouldn't face the world alone. But this was insanity. "Where is he?" she asked, scanning the courthouse steps. "There." Mrs. Cassie pointed to a figure leaning against a lamppost across the street. Zaire Coleman stood with his hands in his pockets, perfectly still, watching the traffic pass with an expression that gave nothing away. Even from a distance, something about him unsettled her. He didn't fidget, didn't check his phone, didn't look lost or uncomfortable despite his circumstances. He simply existed in that space like he owned it. A black SUV pulled up beside him. 2 men in dark suits stepped out, and Maya watched, confused, as they approached Zaire. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Your support means everything, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Now let's dive back in. The conversation was brief. Zaire said something, barely moving his lips, and both men stepped back immediately, their posture shifting from authoritative to almost deferential. They returned to the SUV and drove away. "That was weird," Maya muttered. Mrs. Cassie frowned. "I'm sure it was nothing. Mr. Coleman came highly recommended by the agency. He was homeless, he needed a place to stay, and you needed a husband on paper. It's a practical arrangement." Practical. The word felt like ashes in her mouth. Zaire crossed the street then, moving with a fluid grace that contradicted his homeless appearance. Up close, he was taller than she'd realized, with dark eyes that seemed to see through pretense and lies. His face was striking, angular, with a strong jaw shadowed by stubble. He looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "Maya," he said, his voice deep and controlled. "Are you ready?" "Ready for what? To live with a stranger? To pretend this is normal?" She questioned. "To go home," he replied simply. Mrs. Cassie cleared her throat. "I'll check in next week. Remember, you need to maintain the appearance of a genuine marriage for at least 6 months to satisfy the will's requirements. After that, you're free to divorce if you choose." 6 months. It felt like a lifetime. The apartment was small, a cramped 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a building that had seen better decades. Maya unlocked the door, and they stepped inside together, the weight of their situation settling like dust. "You can have a bedroom," she said, not meeting his eyes. "I'll take the couch." "No." She looked up, startled. "Excuse me. You take the bedroom. I'm used to uncomfortable sleeping arrangements." His tone left no room for argument, and something in his bearing made her believe him. "Fine. Thank you." He walked to the window, looking out at the city below. "Your aunt's house. Why was it so important?" Maya set down her purse, surprised by the question. "It's all I have left of my family. My parents died when I was 7. Accident. My aunt raised me there. Every room has a memory. If I lost it," her voice caught, "I'd lose them all over again." Zaire turned to face her, and for the first time, something softened in his expression. "Then we'll make sure you keep it." "Why did you agree to this?" she asked suddenly. "The agency said you needed housing, but this is extreme. Marriage? To a stranger." He was quiet for a moment, considering. "Everyone needs shelter, Maya. Some of us just define it differently." The answer told her nothing and everything. He was a locked door, and she didn't have the key. That night, she lay in the unfamiliar bedroom, listening to the sounds of the city through thin walls. At some point, she heard Zaire's voice, low and measured, speaking to someone on the phone. The transfer is complete? Good. Keep the transactions anonymous. I don't want any paper trail leading back. A pause. No, she doesn't know. And she won't. Not yet. Maya's heart hammered. What transfer? Anonymous transactions? What had she gotten herself into? The next morning, she woke to the smell of coffee. Zaire stood in the tiny kitchen, somehow making the cramped space look smaller just by being in it. He'd showered, his hair still damp, and changed into clean clothes that, while simple, fit him perfectly. He looked different in the morning light, less homeless, more purposeful. You didn't have to make breakfast, she said. I was awake. He poured her a cup of coffee, black, and slid it across the counter. You take it black, right? She froze. How did you know that? You ordered it that way at the diner yesterday, before the ceremony. His eyes met hers, calm and observant. I pay attention. She hadn't even noticed him there. The thought unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. How long had he been watching? And why? I have to go to work, she said, grabbing her jacket. The diner needs me for the morning shift. I'll walk you, he said. That's not necessary. She replied. I insist. Again, that tone that wasn't quite commanding but left no room for refusal. They walked through the morning streets in silence, passing closed storefronts and early commuters. Maya noticed something strange. People noticed Zaire, not with curiosity or pity like you'd expect for someone who looked homeless, but with something else. Recognition? Fear? An older man in an expensive suit actually crossed the street when he saw them coming. Do you know him? She asked. Who? That man. He looked at you like he'd seen a ghost, she answered. Zaire's expression didn't change. People see what they want to see. At the diner, her coworker Melissa grabbed her arm the moment she walked in. Girl, you actually went through with it? You married a homeless man? It's complicated, Maya responded calmly. Complicated? Maya, this is insane. What if he's dangerous? What if he's using you? Melissa asked, concerned. He's not, she said, though she wasn't sure why she defended him. He's just temporary. But even as she said it, she thought about the phone call, the men in suits, the way he moved through the world like he owned it. Nothing about Zaire Coleman felt temporary. Her shift ended at 2. When she stepped outside, Zaire was there, leaning against the building with that same unsettling stillness. You waited? She asked. I had time. He replied simply. Don't you have somewhere to be? Job interviews or something? She asked him. A slight smile touched his lips, the first she'd seen. My schedule is flexible. They walked home together, and Maya found herself talking, filling the silence with stories about the diner, her aunt, her abandoned dreams of studying literature. Zaire listened without interrupting, his attention complete and focused in a way that made her feel truly heard. You're good at that, she said as they climbed the stairs to the apartment. At what? He asked. Listening. Most people just wait for their turn to talk. Maya responded. Most people are afraid of silence, he replied. I'm not. That evening, she made pasta and they ate together at the small table. The domesticity of it felt surreal. Can I ask you something? She said, twirling spaghetti on her fork. You can ask anything. Where did you live before this? I mean, the agency said you were homeless, but you don't act like someone who's been on the streets. Zaire set down his fork, choosing his words carefully. I've lived in many places. Some comfortable, some not. I learned early that comfort is a state of mind, not a location. That's a politician's answer. It doesn't actually tell me anything. Maya protested. He met her eyes, and something flickered there, amusement maybe. You're perceptive, and you're evasive. She rolled her eyes. Perhaps. He stood, collecting the dishes. But evasion is sometimes kindness. Some truths are heavy, Maya. I don't want to burden you with weight you didn't ask to carry. I married you. I think I've already accepted the burden. She replied. He paused at the sink, his back to her. You married a name on a certificate. You don't know me. At least, not yet. Then let me know you, she said gently. He turned, and the intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. You might not like what you find. Try me, she pressed. The moment stretched between them, taut and electric. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire demeanor shifted, sharpening into something almost predatory. I have to go out, he suddenly said. Now? It's almost 9. I won't be long. He grabbed his jacket, and she noticed for the first time how deliberately he moved, like someone trained in efficiency. Zaire, what's going on? She asked him, concerned. He stopped at the door. Trust me. Please. And then he was gone. Maya paced the apartment for an hour, anxiety gnawing at her. She tried to watch television, to read, but nothing held her attention. Finally, she grabbed her phone and searched for his name. Zaire Coleman. Nothing. No social media, no news articles, no digital footprint at all. In an age where everyone existed online, he was a ghost. She was just about to give up when she tried a different approach, searching for recent charitable donations in the city. One article caught her eye about an anonymous benefactor who'd saved a struggling children's hospital with a $10 million donation. The hospital director was quoted, "We don't know who he is. He simply said, 'Some crowns are too heavy to wear in public.'" Crowns. The word echoed in her mind. The door opened at midnight. Zaire entered, and she noticed immediately that his knuckles were bruised. "What happened?" she demanded, standing. "Nothing you need to worry about." He responded quickly. "Your hands are bleeding." She insisted. He looked down as if noticing for the first time. "It's not my blood." Her stomach dropped. "Zaire, what did you do?" He moved to the sink, washing his hands with methodical precision. "Someone thought they could hurt you. No one can hurt what's mine. I had to correct their misunderstanding." "What's yours? I'm not your property." He turned to her, and the look in his eyes was fierce, possessive, and protective. "You're my wife. On paper, yes, but that paper means I'm responsible for you. And I take my responsibilities seriously. I didn't ask for a protector. You got one anyway." He dried his hands, wincing slightly. "There are people who know about the house and about your aunt's will. They think you're vulnerable now and alone. I made it clear tonight that you're not."
Maya's anger dissolved into something more complicated. Who were they? Developers. They wanted to buy your aunt's property for half its value. When I refused on your behalf, they became aggressive. He answered, "You refused?" "Zaire, that's my decision to make." She said sharply, "Would you have sold?" He asked, his eyebrows raised. She shook her head. "No, but that's not the point. You can't just." "I can and I will." He stepped closer, and she could see the storm in his eyes. "You think marriage is just a piece of paper? Maybe it started that way. But the moment I signed my name next to yours, I became the wall between you and anyone who wants to hurt you. I don't apologize for that." Her heart pounded. This isn't how normal people handle things. "I never claimed to be normal." His voice softened. "Get some sleep, Maya. You're safe. That's all that matters." She wanted to argue, to push back against his high-handed methods, but exhaustion won. She retreated to the bedroom, but sleep didn't come easily. Through the thin walls, she heard him making another phone call, his voice low and commanding. "I want a full background check on anyone who approaches her. I don't care if it's the mailman. And double the security on the property. Invisible, but present. If anyone gets within 50 feet with ill intent, I want to know before they take their next breath." Security? What kind of homeless man arranged security details? The next few days fell into an uneasy rhythm. Maya worked her shifts at the diner, while Zaire disappeared for hours at a time, always returning with no explanation. But things kept happening. Strange, impossible things. The diner's owner, Mr. Patterson, suddenly announced he was giving all employees a raise and better benefits. When Maya asked why, he'd shrugged uncomfortably. "Someone made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Said it was time I treated my people better." The landlord stopped by to tell them he was reducing their rent by half. "Just feel like being generous," he'd mumbled, avoiding eye contact. The local gang that usually harassed women in the neighborhood suddenly vanished. Completely. Like they'd never existed. And everywhere Maya went, she noticed them. Men in dark clothes, always at a distance, always watching. Not threatening, but present, guarding. "Zaire, I need answers," she said one evening, cornering him in the kitchen. "What's really going on? Who are you?" He set down the vegetables he'd been chopping for dinner. His cooking had been another surprise. He moved through the kitchen with the skill of someone who'd been professionally trained. "I'm your husband," he said simply. "Stop deflecting. The rent reduction, the raise, those men I keep seeing watching the building. That wasn't coincidence. No, it wasn't. He confirmed. Then explain, she urged. He studied her for a long moment, seeming to weigh something heavy. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with why a homeless man can orchestrate all of this. She said, sternly. I never said I was homeless. He dropped the bombshell. Her breath caught. The agency said what I told them to say. I needed to meet you, Maya. This was the most efficient way. He replied, casually. Meet me? Why? Her mind raced. Have you been stalking me? Protecting you. He dried his hands on a towel, his movements deliberate. Your aunt didn't die of natural causes. The room tilted. What? Maya couldn't believe her ears. He began to explain carefully. She was pushed down those stairs by the same developers I dealt with the other night. They wanted the property because of its location. They knew it was perfect for high-end, profitable business, but she refused to sell. So they eliminated the obstacle. Maya gripped the counter, her legs suddenly weak. No, the police said it was an accident. She fell. The police said what the evidence suggested. And evidence can be manipulated by people with enough money and motivation. His voice was gentle now, but certain. I've been investigating for 3 months. I have proof, but I needed to be close to you to ensure they didn't try the same thing. This is insane. Why would you care? You didn't even know her. She pointed out. Zaire moved closer, and she saw something raw in his expression. I knew her. 20 years ago, your aunt helped a scared homeless teenager who had nowhere to go. She gave him a job, a meal, and treated him like he mattered when the world said he didn't. That teenager never forgot her kindness. Tears blurred Maya's vision. You're that teenager? He nodded. I built everything I have on the foundation she gave me. When I learned what happened to her, I swore I'd protect the only family she had left. But the marriage, the clause in the will. I wrote that clause. His admission hung in the air. I knew you'd never accept help from a stranger. So I created a situation where helping you helped me, where our needs aligned. Maya's emotions warred between gratitude and fury. You manipulated me. Yes. He nodded. You lied. She said again. By omission, yes. He admitted. Why tell me now? She asked him. He reached out, his hand hovering near her face, but not quite touching. Because you're not someone who deserves lies. And because keeping this from you was becoming harder than facing your anger. I should hate you, she whispered. You should, he agreed. But she didn't. God help her, she didn't. Who are you really? Zaire Coleman? He pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, and handed it to her. The screen showed a Forbes article, The Ghost of Silicon Valley, how one man built a tech empire from the shadows. The photo was grainy, taken from a distance, but it was unmistakably him. The article estimated his net worth at over $8 billion. You're Z. Coleman, she breathed. The Z. Coleman. The one who revolutionized encrypted communications. Who owns half the security infrastructure in the country. He shifted uncomfortably as he said, I prefer to remain anonymous. Power is more effective when people don't see it coming. Her legs gave out, and she sank into a chair. You're a billionaire, and you've been living in my cramped apartment, sleeping on a couch, eating spaghetti dinners. The couch is actually quite comfortable. A smile played at his lips. And your spaghetti is excellent. She frowned. This isn't funny, Zaire. You lied about everything. Not everything. He knelt in front of her, bringing the eye to eye. My feelings are real. My commitment to keeping you safe is real. The marriage might have started as a strategy, but somewhere between day one and now, it became something else. Her heart stuttered. What are you saying? I'm saying that I didn't expect you, Maya. I didn't expect to care about whether you smiled in the morning. I didn't expect to look forward to our dinners, to the sound of your voice filling the silence I've lived in for years. I didn't expect to fall in love with my own wife. The words hung between them, devastating and beautiful. Maya's breath caught, tears spilling down her cheeks. You can't just say that. You can't drop a bomb like this and expect. I expect nothing, he interrupted gently. I'm simply telling you the truth. Finally, his hand came up, and this time he did touch her, his thumb brushing away a tear. I've spent my entire adult life building walls, hiding behind anonymity and power. But with you, I don't want to hide anymore. I don't know what to feel, she admitted, her voice breaking. Part of me wants to scream at you for the deception. Part of me wants to—" She stopped, afraid to finish the thought. "Wants to what?" he asked, his eyes locked on hers. She looked into his eyes, those dark, intense eyes that saw too much and revealed so little. "Kiss you," she whispered. "Which is insane because I should be furious. You can be both." His voice dropped lower. "Fury and desire aren't mutually exclusive, Zaire. But I won't kiss you until you ask me to. Until you're sure. Because once we cross that line, there's no going back to the pretense. No more hiding behind the arrangement." He said, honestly, she should have been terrified. This man who could buy countries, who commanded invisible armies, who orchestrated her entire life like a chess game. But all she felt was the magnetic pull between them, the connection that had been building since that first morning over coffee. "I need time," she said finally, "to process all of this." He nodded, standing and giving her space. "Take all the time you need. I've waited years to find someone worth being real with. I can wait a little longer." That night, Maya lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. "Girl, you coming to the party Saturday? We're celebrating Tony's promotion." She typed back, "Maybe. Things are complicated. Because of the husband? Bring him. I want to meet this mysterious man this time." Maya smiled despite everything. The idea of bringing Zaire, with all his hidden power and intensity, to a casual diner worker party was absurd. But maybe absurd was exactly what she needed. The next morning, she found him in the kitchen again, this time reading a newspaper. An actual physical newspaper, she noted with amusement. "My coworker invited us to a party Saturday night," she said, pouring coffee. "Would you come? As my actual husband, not just the guy I'm legally bound to." He looked up, something warm flickering in his expression. "I like that. Fair warning, they think you're homeless. This might get awkward." She added, "Let them think what they want. I'm coming for you, not them." He replied sweetly. Saturday arrived with spring rain and nervous energy. Maya changed outfits 3 times before settling on a simple dress. When she emerged from the bedroom, Zaire's reaction made her blush. He'd cleaned up too, wearing dark jeans and a fitted shirt that showed off the powerful frame he usually hid under loose clothing. "You're beautiful," he said simply. "Thank you. You're not so bad yourself." The party was at Tony's apartment, loud music and laughter spilling into the hallway. The moment they walked in, conversations died. Everyone stared at Zaire, who stood beside Maya with quiet confidence, seemingly unbothered by the attention. Melissa rushed over, her eyes wide. "Okay, I was not expecting this." "Girl, you undersold him." "Melissa, this is Zaire." "Zaire, my best friend and nosiest coworker." He shook her hand with perfect courtesy. "Nice to meet you." "Where did you two meet?" Melissa asked, her journalist instincts activated. "Through a mutual connection," Zaire said smoothly. "Maya needed help. I was in a position to provide it." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Maya appreciated his discretion. The evening progressed, and Maya watched Zaire navigate the social dynamics with surprising ease. He asked thoughtful questions, remembered names, made people feel heard. This was another side of him, the side that had built an empire not just through intelligence, but through understanding people. "Your man is full of surprises," Tony said, handing Maya a drink. He was just explaining cryptocurrency to Jake in a way that actually made sense. "Where'd he learn all that?" "He reads a lot," Maya said weakly. Later, on the small balcony away from the crowd, Zaire found her looking out at the rain-soaked city. He draped his jacket over her shoulders without a word. "You're good at this," she said. "Playing normal." "I'm normal. I just have abnormal resources." He leaned against the railing beside her. "Money doesn't change who you are at your core, Maya. It just amplifies it. I was always someone who observed, who strategized, who protected what mattered. Now I just do it on a larger scale." "Do I matter?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. He turned to face her fully, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. "You matter more than you know. More than I knew how to say until now." Her heart raced. "Zaire, A crash from inside interrupted them. They rushed back to find Jake and another man in a heated argument, shoving each other. Before anyone could react, Zaire moved. Smooth and controlled, he positioned himself between them, one hand on each man's chest. "Gentlemen," he said, his voice calm, but carrying absolute authority. "Take a breath." Something in his presence, his bearing, made both men step back immediately. The entire room had gone silent, sensing the shift in energy. "Whatever this is about, it's not worth ruining Tony's night," Zaire continued. "Apologize to your host and either settle down or leave." Both men mumbled apologies. The tension dissolved. Music resumed. But Maya had seen it, that flash of command, the way everyone instinctively deferred to him. On the walk home, she finally asked, "How do you do that? Command a room without raising your voice." Confidence isn't about volume. It's about certainty. When you know who you are and what you stand for, people feel it. He answered her. "And who are you, Zaire Coleman?" He stopped walking, rain misting around them under the streetlights. "I'm someone who spent his whole life alone by choice, because connection meant vulnerability. I'm someone who built walls so high that no one could climb them. Until you." "Me?" Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "You, Maya, with your stubborn pride and your fierce loyalty to people you love. With your ability to see beauty in broken things." He stepped closer, rain dotting his shoulders. "You made me want to tear down every wall I ever built." "I'm scared," she admitted. "This is all so much. Your world, your power, your secrets. What if I don't fit?" "You already fit. You fit the moment you looked at me on those courthouse steps and saw a person, not a problem to solve or a charity case. You saw me. I barely knew you then." She said, "You saw what mattered." His hand came up, cupping her face with devastating gentleness. "I'm not asking you to love my money or my empire or the ghost billionaire persona. I'm asking if you could love the man standing in front of you right now, soaking wet and completely terrified that you'll say no." Tears mixed with rain on her cheeks. "You're not terrified of anything. I'm terrified of losing you. I'm terrified I've already ruined this with my manipulations and secrets. I'm terrified that when you really know all of me, the dark parts, the ruthless parts, you'll walk away." She reached up, her hand covering his. "Show me. All of it. The dark, the ruthless, everything. But no more lies." "No more lies," he promised. "Starting with this. I love you, Maya. Not because you needed saving, not because of some debt to your aunt. I love you because you make me want to be seen. Because when I'm with you, I'm not the ghost of Silicon Valley or Z, Coleman, or any mask I wear. I'm just Zaire, a man who's found something worth being vulnerable for." "Zaire," she breathed, and then she was kissing him, pulling him down to her with sudden fierce need. He responded immediately, his arms wrapping around her waist, lifting her slightly off the ground as rain fell around them. The kiss was electric, desperate, full of weeks of tension and denied feelings. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "Does this mean—" "It means I'm choosing this," she said. "I'm choosing you. The real you, with all your complications and your protective instincts and your ridiculous fortune that you hide like it's something shameful. It's not shame. It's freedom. When people know what you're worth, they treat you differently. They want something from you." He replied, "I don't want your money, Zaire." She stated clearly, "I know. That's why I'm giving you everything else." He kissed her again, softer this time, reverent. "My truth, my trust, my heart." They walked home hand in hand, and everything felt different. The apartment didn't seem cramped anymore, but cozy, intimate. Their space. "So what happens now?" she asked as they stood in the living room, both dripping water on the floor. "Now we live our lives. Together. Really together. Not just as an arrangement." He pulled her close. "I want to show you my world, if you'll let me. Not to overwhelm you, but because I want to share it with someone who matters." "What about the developers? The people who hurt my aunt?" she asked, worried. His expression hardened. "They'll face justice. I've been building a case with prosecutors. They'll be arrested within the week. Your aunt will have justice, and you'll have closure." "Just like that?" she inquired, surprised. "Just like that. Money and evidence make powerful arguments." He softened again, tucking a wet strand of hair behind her ear. "You never have to worry about safety again. Not because I'm controlling, but because protecting you has become as essential to me as breathing. That's intense. She inhaled sharply. I'm an intense man. Can you handle that? He said flirtatiously. She blushed, feeling bold and brave and more alive than she'd felt in months. I married you, didn't I? I think I can handle anything you throw at me. Is that a challenge? He asked jokingly. Maybe. She shrugged. He laughed then, a real genuine laugh that transformed his whole face. God, I love you. Say it again. She blushed again. I love you, Maya Coleman. He said out loud. I love you too, she whispered, and watched his eyes close briefly as if savoring the words. Even though you're impossible and secretive and way too good at getting your way. I'll work on that. Don't work too hard. I kind of like the mysterious billionaire thing. She chuckled. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. We should probably get out of these wet clothes. That's very practical of you. I have my moments. He winked at her. Later, curled together on the couch that had been his bed, Maya felt peace settle over her like a blanket. This man, this complicated, impossible man with his hidden empire and his fierce heart, had chosen her. And she had chosen him back. What are you thinking? He asked, his hand running lazy patterns on her arm. That 6 months ago, I was alone and terrified. And now I have you. It feels like a dream. She confessed. It's real. I promise you, this is real. He pulled her closer. And tomorrow, I'll prove it. I'm taking you somewhere. Where? She asked him. You'll see. Trust me. She thought about everything they'd been through, all the revelations and risks and raw honesty. Yes, I trust you. Then sleep. Tomorrow starts our real life together. As Maya drifted off in his arms, she thought about fate and coincidence and the strange paths that lead people to each other. She thought about her aunt, who'd saved a boy 20 years ago and unknowingly set in motion a love story that would save her niece decades later. She thought about Zaire, who'd built an empire from nothing, but never forgot where he came from. And she thought about love, how it found her in the strangest places, disguised as obligation and circumstance, only to reveal itself as the realest thing in her life. The next morning, true to his word, Zaire took her to his real world. The penthouse overlooking the city, the office filled with cutting-edge technology, the staff who treated him with respect and affection. He introduced her as his wife, not his secret, and she saw their surprise and approval. This is who I am, he said, showing her his operations center. But only with you do I feel like myself. She squeezed his hand, overwhelmed but grounded by his presence. Then let's be ourselves together. Always, he promised. And in that moment, standing in a world of glass and steel and unimaginable wealth, Maya realized that home wasn't the house her aunt left her. It wasn't any place at all. Home was this man beside her, this complicated, brilliant, fiercely loving man who'd torn down every wall to let her in. Thank you, she said. For what? He asked, surprised. For seeing me, for choosing me, for being brave enough to be real. She spoke softly. He pulled her into his arms, and in the middle of his empire, surrounded by everything he'd built, he held the only thing that truly mattered. Thank you, he whispered back, for making me want to be found. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who believes in unexpected love. Comment below and tell us what you thought of Zaire and Maya's journey. And hit that subscribe button because we have more incredible stories coming your way. Remember, sometimes the greatest treasures come disguised as ordinary moments, and true love always finds a way to reveal itself. Until next time, keep believing in the magic of connection.